Commander Lee Daeho stared out the window of the Seoul Defense Center as red lights flashed across every screen in the room. 3 days ago, Earth had received the most terrifying message in human history. It came through every radio, every television, every computer at exactly the same time. The message was simple and cold. People of Earth, you will surrender your planet to the hegemony within 72 hours. You will become part of our empire. If you refuse, we will destroy every living thing on your world. This is not a negotiation. Now those 72 hours were almost over. 18 hours remained. Lieutenant Kim So-young looked up from her computer. Sir, the alien ships are moving into attack positions. Our satellites show 12 different types of vessels. Each one is bigger than our largest city. Daeho walked over to the main display screen. Dots of light showed the enemy fleet surrounding Earth like hungry wolves. Each dot represented a ship that could probably destroy an entire country by itself. There were hundreds of them. What do we know about these aliens? He asked. Dr. Choi Hyun-woo opened his tablet and read the latest report. The hegemony is made up of 12 different alien races. They have been conquering planets for over 1,000 years. The Vorthok have the biggest warships. The Kelrani make energy weapons that can cut through anything. The Zephyrians are the best at space battles. Together, they have taken over more than 300 worlds. And what do they know about us? They think we are weak. Their scans show we only have basic rockets and nuclear weapons. They believe this will be their easiest victory ever. Daeho nodded slowly. The aliens were not completely wrong. Compared to their technology, humanity looked like children with sticks and stones. But appearances could be deceiving. Across the room, Ambassador Park Min-soo was finishing his final attempt at talking with the aliens. His face was red with anger and frustration. They will not listen, he said. I offered them our knowledge, our resources, even tribute payments. They said we are too primitive to be worth keeping alive as slaves. The main screen switched to show alien ships moving closer to Earth. Their weapons were powering up. Energy readings showed they had enough firepower to crack the planet in half. Sir, said So-young, President Lee Soo-jin is calling an emergency meeting with all world leaders. They want to make the final decision together. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth was working together. Countries that had been enemies for centuries were now allies. Wars that had lasted decades ended overnight. Religious leaders who had never agreed on anything were praying together. It was strange how the threat of total extinction could unite. People Daeho watched the news feeds from around the world. In New York, people were gathering in the streets to sing. In Moscow, families were hugging each other. In Cairo, children were drawing pictures of Earth on the sidewalks. In Tokyo, old and young were sharing stories about their lives. They are not acting like people who expect to die, observed Dr. Choi. No, agreed Daeho. They are acting like people who have made their choice. The alien commander's voice came through the speakers again. It sounded like metal scraping against stone. Humans of Earth, you have 18 hours to surrender. Your weapons cannot harm our ships. Your technology is worthless. Submit now, and some of you may be allowed to live as workers. President Lee Soo-jin appeared on screens around the world. She looked tired but determined. Citizens of Earth, she said, we have heard the alien demands. We have seen their ships. We know they can destroy us. But we also know something they do not understand. We know what it means to be human. She paused and looked directly into the camera. We choose freedom over slavery. We choose to stand rather than kneel. We choose to be remembered as people who fought for what was right, even when we could not win. The response from around the world was immediate. Every major city lit up with celebration. People cheered in the streets. Fireworks exploded in the sky. It looked like the whole planet was having a party. The aliens monitoring Earth's communications were confused. Why are they celebrating? Asked one alien commander. Do they not understand they are about to die? Perhaps they have gone insane with fear, suggested another. But the humans were not insane. They were doing something the hegemony had never seen before. They were choosing their fate instead of having it chosen for them. Daeho looked at the countdown timer. 15 hours remaining. Around him, his staff continued their work with calm determination. They had accepted what was coming, but they were not giving up. Sir, said So-young, Dr. Yang Ji-hai is ready to begin the final broadcast. She wants to know if we should start the transmission sequence. Daeho looked at the alien ships surrounding his world. Soon those ships would attack. Soon the silence would begin. But first, humanity would have its say. Tell Dr. Yang to begin, he said. Let the galaxy hear our voice one last time. The gathering storm was about to break, but Earth would not face it in silence. Dr. Yang Ji-hai's hands moved across the control panel as she prepared humanity's final message to the galaxy. The communication center in Seoul hummed with activity as technicians made last-minute adjustments to the transmission equipment. Every major broadcasting station on Earth was connected to this moment. All stations report ready, announced technician Baek Taemin from his position at the main console. We have full connection with Moscow, New York, London, Cairo, Tokyo, and Sydney, the signal will reach every corner of the galaxy. Yang Jihai nodded and looked at the timer on the wall. 8 hours remained before the hegemony's deadline. Through the reinforced windows, she could see the alien ships moving closer to Earth. Their weapons were charging, preparing for what they believed would be a simple extermination. Dr. Yang, came President Li Sujin's voice through the intercom. Are you ready to begin the final broadcast? Yes, Madam President. All systems are operational. Yang Jihai had spent 3 days writing the message. It was not long or complicated. She had learned that the most important words were often the simplest ones. The message would be transmitted in over 300 languages, including the alien languages they had learned from intercepted hegemony communications. Citizens of Earth. President Li's voice echoed through the communication center as she addressed the planet one final time. In a few hours, we will face the greatest challenge in human history. We go into this moment not as separate nations, but as one people. We stand together, and we will fall together if we must. But we will not surrender our freedom. Yang Jihai, ACTIVATED, the transmission sequence. The message began broadcasting across all frequencies simultaneously. Radio waves, television signals, internet streams, and even emergency broadcast systems carried the same words to every corner of space. This is Earth, the message began. We are humanity. 3 days ago, you told us to surrender or die. We have made our choice. We will not bow to you. We will not serve you. We will not let you decide our fate. The message continued in its simple, clear words. You believe we are weak because our weapons are small. You think we are stupid because our technology is basic. You are wrong about us. We may not have your ships or your guns, but we have something you do not understand. We have each other. As the broadcast transmitted, alien monitoring stations across the hegemony fleet picked up the signal. Admiral Vexter of the Vorthok command ship listened with what could only be described as amusement. The humans are making speeches, he reported. To his officers, they think words will protect them from plasma cannons. Should we jam their communications? Asked his second in command. No, let them talk. Their final words will be recorded for the hegemony archives. Future civilizations will learn what happens to those who refuse our generous offer of servitude. The human message continued across the galaxy. We know you have conquered many worlds. We know you are stronger than us, but you have never faced a species like humanity. We do not fight just for ourselves. We fight for every person who has ever dreamed of freedom. We fight for every child who deserves to choose their own future. In the depths of space, other alien civilizations received the broadcast. Most were slaves of the hegemony, their own worlds conquered long ago. They listened to the human words with a mixture of admiration and sadness. They had once made similar promises to resist, but they had all fallen in the end. Foolish humans, whispered a Kelrani slave worker on a mining station, you will learn that defiance only brings more pain. But some listened with different emotions. In hidden places throughout the galaxy, beings who had been waiting for hope felt something stir inside them. The human message was being heard by more than just the hegemony. Yang Jihai watched her screens as the transmission reached its final section. We send this message not just to you, but to every thinking being in the galaxy. Remember that once there was a species called humanity. Remember that we chose to stand against tyranny. Remember that freedom is worth dying for. The message concluded with a simple statement. We are ready. Come and take us if you can. As the transmission ended, the hegemony fleet began its final approach. Energy weapons powered up to full charge. Assault ships moved into attack formations. The aliens were confident this would be over quickly. Beginning bombardment in 60 seconds, announced Admiral Vex. Target all major population centers first. Leave the resource areas intact for harvesting. Yang Jihai and her team remained at their posts as the first energy beams lanced down from space. The alien weapons struck Earth's major cities with devastating force. Communication towers fell silent one by one. Power grids failed. Television broadcasts went dark. Within 6 hours, all of Earth's major communication centers had been destroyed. The planet's electromagnetic signature faded to almost nothing. From space, it looked like human civilization had been completely eliminated. Resistance has ended, reported Admiral Vextar to the Hegemony Council. The humans fought bravely for primitives, but they are extinct now. Beginning occupation procedures. The galaxy fell silent. The human voice was gone. The final message had been delivered, and now there was only the quiet of space, but in that silence, something was waiting. Something the hegemony had not expected. The real message was not in the words that had been broadcast. The real message was in what came next. The silence was not the end. It was the beginning. 3 months had passed since the hegemony's attack on Earth. The planet hung in space like a dead rock, its cities dark and silent. No radio signals came from the surface. No ships launched from its ports. The electromagnetic noise that had once filled Earth's atmosphere was gone, replaced by the quiet hum of natural radiation. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his command ship, looking down at the conquered world through the main viewing screen. Status report, he ordered. All human resistance has been eliminated, reported his tactical officer. Our ground forces have established mining operations on 6 continents. No organized military activity detected. The conquest is complete. Vextar nodded with satisfaction. The humans had talked big, but they had fallen just as easily as every other primitive species the hegemony had encountered. Their final broadcast had been touching, in its way, but ultimately meaningless. Words could not stop plasma cannons. What about those energy readings, Commander? Vextar keeps reporting, asked the tactical officer. Background radiation, Vextar replied dismissively. Residual effects from our bombardment. Vextar sees patterns where none exist. The scanning division has too much time on their hands now that the war is over. Deep in the ship's sensor bay, Commander Vextar frowned at his displays. The energy signatures were getting stronger, not weaker. They appeared on 17 different frequencies, pulsing in mathematical patterns that seemed too organized to be random. But every time he reported his findings, his superiors told him to focus on more important matters. Sir, said his assistant, the patterns are becoming more complex. Look at this sequence. Vextar studied the data. The energy pulses followed prime number sequences, then shifted to Fibonacci patterns, then moved to something that looked like binary code. Natural radiation does not behave this way, he muttered. Should we investigate? Admiral Vextar has made his opinion clear. We monitor and report, nothing more. On the surface of Earth, hegemony mining drones worked their way through abandoned cities, cataloging resources and stripping useful materials. Their sensors detected no human settlements, no hidden bunkers, no signs of organized resistance. The planet appeared to be returning to nature, with plants growing over roads and animals moving into empty buildings. The drone operators found this peaceful. After months of expecting ambushes and guerrilla attacks, they had finally accepted that the humans were truly gone. Earth was just another dead world waiting to be harvested. But 50 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility carved from solid rock, Dr. Kang and Su watched displays showing every hegemony position on and around Earth. The Deep Earth project had been under construction for 57 years, built in absolute secrecy by engineers who had taken their knowledge to their graves. Phase 2 is proceeding on schedule, reported his assistant, Captain Oh Seung-min. All stealth installations report ready status. The enemy has no idea we exist. Kang and Su nodded. The silence had been planned long before the aliens arrived. When humanity had first detected signs of hostile alien civilizations in the 1960s, a small group of scientists and military leaders had begun preparing for this exact scenario. While the world went about its daily business, they had been building a shadow civilization beneath the Earth's crust. The hegemony believes they destroyed our communication networks, said Oh Seung-min. They do not realize they only destroyed the fake ones we built for them to target. The real human communication system was based on quantum entanglement, invisible to alien sensors. Hidden bases on every continent were connected through this network, along with installations on the Moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt that the hegemony had never detected. Sir, we are receiving a transmission from Luna Base, announced the communications officer, Captain Park Jun-ho, reports that the alien garrison there is completely unaware of our presence. They walk past our hidden entrance every day. Kang and Su smiled grimly. The hegemony's arrogance was their weakness. They saw only what they expected to see. To them, humans were a primitive species with basic technology. The idea that humanity might have developed advanced systems in secret was literally unthinkable. What about our people in the fleet? Asked Oh Seung-min. Lieutenant Kim Hyojin is still maintaining her cover as a maintenance worker on the Zephyrian command ship. She reports that their security is surprisingly lax. They do not believe humans are capable of infiltration. The hegemony had been so confident in their victory that they had not bothered to thoroughly scan their own vessels for human infiltrators. The refugees they had occasionally picked up from damaged ships were actually deep cover agents who had been planning this mission for decades. Admiral Vextar continued his routine inspection of the conquered system, unaware that human agents were walking the corridors of his own ship. The energy readings that puzzled Commander Vextar were actually coordination signals between human installations, preparing for the next phase of their plan. Sir, Vextar's assistant said quietly, I have been analyzing the energy signatures. They are not random, they are communicating. Vextar looked at the data again. The patterns were becoming more obvious each day. Communicating what? I do not know, but the transmissions are increasing in frequency and complexity. Whatever is sending them is getting ready for something. The silence from Earth was not the quiet of death. It was the calm before the storm. Humanity had not been destroyed. They had simply been waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. That moment was almost here. The first sign that something was terribly wrong came when Admiral Vec lost contact with Patrol Fleet 7 near Jupiter. The 12 ships had been conducting routine sweeps of the outer system when their signals simply stopped. Equipment failure, Dexter told his officers. These old communication systems break down all the time. But 3 hours later, Patrol Fleet 12 went silent near Saturn. Then Fleet 9 disappeared, somewhere between Mars and the asteroid belt. By the end of the day, 17 hegemony vessels had vanished without sending so much as a distress signal, sir. Commander Thexrel's voice was tight with worry as he entered the bridge. We need to talk about those energy readings. Not now, Thexrel. We have missing ships to find. The energy readings are connected to the missing ships. Look at this data. Thexrel activated the main display. The screen showed energy patterns spreading throughout the solar system like a spider web. Each pulse was perfectly timed, creating a network that stretched from Mercury to Pluto. These are not natural phenomena, Thexrel said. These are weapon signatures. The humans have been building something while we thought they were dead. Admiral Vextar stared at the display in disbelief. Impossible. We destroyed their civilization. We monitored their technology for months before the attack. They had nothing that could threaten us. Then explain this. Thexrel switched the display to show real-time sensor data. Massive energy discharges are happening all around us. Our ships are disappearing, and the patterns match the transmissions we have been detecting for 3 months. 50 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. King and Sue watched similar displays in his hidden command center. Every hegemony ship in the solar system was marked on his screens, and those marks were disappearing one by one. Phase 1 is complete, he announced to his global network. The enemy has taken our bait completely. All stealth installations are now active. Captain O'Sungman looked up from his tactical station. Sir, the aliens are finally starting to understand. Their sensor readings show panic on most of their ships. Good fear will make them careless. Begin Phase 2. What the hegemony had dismissed as a primitive species had actually been preparing for this exact scenario since the 1960s. While Earth had presented a face of basic technology to the galaxy, humanity's greatest minds had been working in secret on weapon systems based on principles no alien civilization had ever encountered. The first human ship to decloak appeared directly behind Admiral Vextar's flagship. Captain Park Jun-ho had been hiding his vessel inside Earth's magnetosphere for 3 months, invisible to alien sensors that were designed to detect conventional technology. This is Captain Park of the human vessel Defiant. His voice came through the hegemony communication system. All alien ships, you are ordered to surrender immediately. The bridge of Vextar's ship erupted in confusion. How did they get past our sensors? Demanded the tactical officer. Run a full scan on that ship, ordered Vextar. I want to know what we are dealing with. The scan results made no sense. The human vessel appeared to exist in multiple dimensions. At once, its energy signature showed readings that were physically impossible according to hegemony science. Most disturbing of all, it seemed to be adapting to their scanning frequencies, becoming more invisible the more they tried to detect it. Sir, the tactical officer's voice was shaking. Our weapons cannot lock onto the target. Every time we try to aim, the ship moves to a different dimensional phase. What does that mean? It means they have technology we do not understand. Across the solar system, more human ships were each one used different principles that confused alien sensors. Some ships existed partially outside normal spacetime. Others used quantum entanglement to be in multiple locations simultaneously. The most advanced vessels appeared to be made of living metal that could reshape itself faster than alien computers could track. Dr. Nam Ji, now revealed as the commander of Luna Base, activated her ships hidden inside the moon's core. All units, this is Luna Command. Begin liberation. Protocol. The hegemony's technological superiority meant nothing against weapons they could not comprehend. Humanity had not tried to match alien technology. Instead, they had made alien technology irrelevant. Impossible, Admiral Vextar whispered as his flagship's systems began shutting down. The human ships were not attacking with conventional weapons. They were using some kind of field that simply turned off hegemony technology. How are they doing this? He demanded. Commander Thexrel looked at his dead instruments with something that might have been respect. Sir, I think we never understood humans at all. While we were measuring their rockets and counting their nuclear weapons, they were building something completely different. But how? We monitored their planet for years before the attack. We saw what they wanted us to see. The real human civilization was hidden beneath the surface, literally and figuratively. They let us destroy their fake cities, while their real power remained untouched. Admiral Vextar realized with growing horror that humanity had been playing a game he had not even known existed. The final broadcast had not been a desperate last message. It had been a declaration of war from a species that had been preparing for this moment for decades. The silence had not been death. It had been the sound of humanity getting ready to change everything. 6 months after Earth's silence, the galaxy learned what humanity's final broadcast had really meant. The message had not been a cry for help or a last desperate plea. It had been an activation code that awakened human agents who had been waiting in the shadows for decades. Colonel Park. Junho stood in the main square of Kelrose Prime, the homeworld of the Kelrani species. Around him, thousands of aliens gathered to hear words they had never expected to hear from any conqueror. "We are not here to rule you," Park announced through the translation device. "We are not here to make you our slaves. We are here to offer you something your own leaders never gave you. We offer you choice." The Kelrani had been part of the hegemony for over 400 years. Their ancestors had been conquered so long ago that most of them had forgotten what freedom looked like. They stared at the human officer with confusion and hope. "You can choose to keep serving the hegemony," Park continued. "You can choose to fight us, or you can choose to join us in building something better. The choice is yours, and yours alone." An elderly Kelrani stepped forward. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing," Park replied. "That is the point. We want nothing from you except the chance to be your friends and allies. We do not conquer, we liberate." Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. On Zephyrian Command Station Alpha, Captain Kim Hyojin revealed her true identity to the aliens she had worked beside for 23 years. "You were human all along?" asked Commander Velthor, the Zephyrian who had been her supervisor and friend. "Yes," Kim replied. "But I was also your friend. That was not pretend. I learned your language, your customs, your hopes and dreams. I know you hate the hegemony as much as anyone. You told me so yourself, many times." Velthar thought about the conversations they had shared during long shifts. Kim had listened to his complaints about the hegemony's cruel policies. She had comforted him when his homeworld was stripped of its resources. She had been there when his family was relocated to make room for a new military base. "The humans were among us all this time?" he asked. "For decades," Kim confirmed. "We have been your neighbors, your coworkers, your friends. We learned who you really are, not just what the hegemony told us about you. That is why this is not an invasion. This is an intervention." The revelation? Shocked, the galaxy humans had infiltrated every level of hegemony society. They had worked as janitors and engineers, teachers and soldiers, doctors and administrators. They had been invisible, patient, and careful. Most importantly, they had been genuinely kind to the people they met. Dr. Nam Yoonji, now serving as Earth's first galactic ambassador, walked through the corridors of the Hegemony Council building. The great fortress that had once commanded the fear of 300 worlds was now nearly empty. One by one, entire species were voting to leave the hegemony and join humanity's growing alliance. "This is impossible," protested counselors of the Vorthok. "You cannot simply dissolve an empire that has lasted for millennia." "We are not dissolving anything," Nam replied calmly. "We are offering alternatives. Your own people are making the choice to leave." It was true. The hegemony's member species were abandoning the empire in massive numbers. They had learned something they had never known before. They could say no to their rulers. The human approach was completely different from anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of demanding tribute, humans offered aid. Instead of taking resources, they shared technology. Instead of ruling through fear, they governed through cooperation. "But how do you maintain order without force?" asked Counselor Zexrin. "The same way you maintain friendship," Nam answered. "Through trust, respect, and mutual benefit. People do not rebel against governments that actually serve them." Admiral Vextar was brought before the new Galactic Council in chains, expecting to be executed as a war criminal. Instead, he found himself facing a simple question from Ambassador Nam. "What do you want to do with the rest of your life?" I do not understand the question. You have spent your whole life serving an empire built on conquest and domination. That empire is ending. What would you like to do instead?" Vextar had never been asked such a question. In the hegemony, your role was assigned based on your species and your rank. Choice was not part of the system. "I was a good military commander," he said slowly. "I know how to organize fleets and coordinate attacks. Would you like to use those skills to help rebuild the worlds the hegemony damaged?" Nam asked. "Many planets need help restoring their infrastructure. Your experience could save lives instead of taking them." The former admiral stared at her in amazement. "You would trust me to do that? Everyone deserves a second chance. The question is whether you want to take it." The silence that had followed Earth's final broadcast was over. In its place came something the galaxy had never heard before, the sound of free beings, choosing their own destiny. The hegemony had ruled through fear and force. Humanity offered something much more powerful, hope, and hope, once awakened, could never be silenced again.